According to the World Health Organization, South Africa has one of the highest per capita rates of alcohol consumption in the world. To curb this, government wants to raise the legal drinking age from 18 to 21. Will this increase have any impact in a country where research shows that most youngsters are underage when they start drinking? Tonight we tell stories of young people who struggle with alcohol. What does their future hold for them?
I started drinking when I was 16 due to peer pressure and wanting to be cool with my friends.
When I was 15, 16, 17, that's when I started going in hard because emaglavini kunamacheri zonke lezi zinto lezo nje namajita nje masihile ngokuthi sibambe bomathunyana so
akunamix emnandi ngokuphuza. It's just that ufuna nje ukuba tipsy nyana uhlanye nyana nje uphume nje ingqondweni lezi right, but then ukutshwala kahle kahle kuza nenkinga eziningi, uyaphuza uyabhema bakuchaye kini uyapreka and all that.
Ngicala ngisasemncane kakhulu. Sure maybe ngalesikhathi ngisakhula ngoba ubaba wami umuntu uphuzayo. Sure nedami bebanginika ebeer.
Kabelo Mboka is only 20 years old, and like many other children, he grew up in an environment with alcoholism. He's only been in rehab for 6 weeks, and he's been an alcoholic for as long as he can remember.
Ubaba wami bekaphuza kakhulu, hayi kancane kakhulu. Everyday kanje. Iaffecte kakhulu impilo yami ngoba bengeke ngenze izinto without utshwala. Maybe ngasho ukuthi uke wabona umuntu ohlanyayo manga ngaphuza ngamapilisi uyohlanya wese maka bophuzile uzoba sharp nami bese njalo bese bu addictive kimi bese ngiphuza ngama weekend nobu maybe ubaba wamaphuza mayeka etoilet ngitshontshe nami ngithele kancane ngiphuze kanjalo.
Kabelo says his relationship with his father was strained for a very long time, and because of that, he says he had no one to guide him.
Ubaba wami akasaphuzi na yawa chintshile ngoba futhi izinye izinto ushaya stroke yabo nje utshwala akusafuneki emzimbeni wakhe ngoba izoma-affecta kakhulu yabo wayeke ukuphuza mara i-relationship yami ngalesikhathi ngisakhula ngisasemncane bengidinga i-father figure bengidinga ubaba wami yabona kakhulu manje khani singathi manje sisalungisa izinto yabo mara akunakuthi ngamblame naye maybe bekanginkinga zakhe yabo.
But what does he regret most about his days as an alcoholic?
Uphatha inkunzi yabo thathele abantu amafoni imali yabona mangilwa umuntu ngamulala yabo ngigwaza angithi i-mindset yami ngidrunk ngitakiwe mina ngibona ngizokusola mase ngisuka ukuthi umuntu bekayenza into ekanjena kanje yabo sengiyasola thola umuntu usesibhedlela ngimgwazile ngamabhodlela ini yabo lezo zinto namanje sisangidla manje yabo.
Kabelo realized that he needed help and booked himself into rehab.
Into engizikishile la impilo yami ngingasho half impilo yami bengi-addictive since ngisasemncane since ngiphuza ngenza izinto eziningi khani manje le ngizela ngisho ngithi ngiphila impilo enormal otherwise ngalesikhathi ngisasingaphandle bengingaphila impilo enormal.
Kabelo will be leaving rehab soon, but fears triggers that will set him off drinking again. We asked him if he would keep his old friends once he is out of rehab.
Abangane kahle baphuma endleleni itrouble kimi yabo. Mele mina ngishele kahle ukuthi abangani ngisabafuni ngenza into mina ngifila kuyenza ngoba ngikhule vele i-peer pressure into ezinjalo sijuthana ukuthi hayi masenzeni kanje nakanje manje hayi abangani angicabanga.
Kabelo is one of the many young people between the ages of 10 and 19 who experiment with alcohol and unfortunately get addicted. In South Africa, scenes like these are commonplace. Young people drink themselves into a stupor. Peer pressure drives them to addiction, but other factors are also to blame. Timber Interactive is a township advocacy group that seeks to eradicate alcoholism among the youth. They say the environment under which young people grow up is a contributing factor.
When young people are exposed to alcohol within their home, within their community, where they see their parents, their caretakers indulging in alcohol daily, where they live in an area where there are a lot of shebeens and taverns, they begin to think that alcohol is a way of life, and therefore they see no fault in indulging in alcohol.
It's been a week since we last spoke to Kabelo. Today he's leaving the rehab centre for a fresh start on life. A life without alcohol and friends who are negative influences. Kabelo is nervous about going back to the same community for fear of being tempted by reminders of his old life. Just as Kabelo feared, on his arrival back home, his old friend's drinking is the first sight to greet him.
Uyochenja wena umuntu maka igasi lona ayichange yabo vele amagents hayi engiphathanga kahle ngoba lento le imosha impilo zethu yabo mara bengiyawa ushela ukuthi ngabo bangayibona lento ukuthi mele ba change empilweni yabo
nka se monke ka mkenya ko mkoti either way o tlo ya somewhere o tlo ba thola batho bana so e tlo tswa mo wena hore o hodile ha ka ka o kgona ho handlela ha ka ka ntho tse jwalo ke la bona because ke believe hore if ever po e tla mo wena tla mo tshwara ka manako ka se dulu ba le so ntho tse so tla mo di face la re ka mtlo sa ramisa ko Germany o tlo thola ntse ba batho tsa bana so either way ena tla mo prepare ba bona a bona hore wa tsa ke nke ready ntho ke dila jwang abe comfortable o dula le batho ba nwa ena sa nwa ne cold drink because le mo dipating you find those kind of people o tlile wa jaiva but
Surviving the first days and staying sober is Kabelo's primary concern. And so, he won't be staying at his brother's house, but chooses to rather stay at a local church where he feels safer from temptation. He's accompanied by his brother Karabo to the pastor's home. For the next while, Kabelo will be staying with other young people with a history of drinking or other substance abuse problems at the Hands of God International Ministries Church. He'll be under the care of Pastor Makubedu, who's worked with young people like him for many years.
How are you, Kabelo? No, you are more than welcome. We bless the Lord, Kabelo, and ratali passion and you are ready to change. So you are more than welcome. This is your new family. So you are more than welcome. as we are one family, we have a new brother in our midst by the name of Kabelo, and Hatsama Aliwane Otsamali, his brother Barinke Karabo. So our love as family, we welcome them in the mighty name of Jesus. Many parents, many people, they have rejected young people out there. That's why we have seen it as an important thing to bring them in the house of the Lord.
Zoe is a 24-year-old from Johannesburg. She, like Kabelo Mboka, started drinking alcohol at a very young age.
I was 11 when I started drinking. First time I had my first drink, it was a social scene. We had a party at the house. My mom wasn't there, and I drank excessively. I drank until I physically could not drink anymore. I ended up blacking out. I don't remember most of the evening. And when I did wake up, I was lying in a pool of blood by a toilet. I was vomiting, and eventually my stomach had nothing else but that to drink.
Dr. Alan Peters is a physician at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital. He sees the effects of alcohol on a daily basis.
Alcohol can intoxicate the brain. The effects of alcohol can affect your cerebellum. And so that's why people stagger. They can often get stomach side effects with vomiting. They can get a hemorrhagic gastritis. 60% of binge drinkers can develop atrial fibrillation, so your heart doesn't beat correctly, become disinhibited, you take more risks, your sexual behavior might change, you get increased fights, get into car accidents, you start falling, so you start injuring yourselves. You pick arguments within the family, so it increases violence. So the ramifications are quite pervasive.
For many years, Zoe never thought that her drinking was a problem. She was in denial.
I was solidly and alcoholically for 10 years. I just thought people had a problem with me as opposed to what I did when I was drunk. I was very loud, I was very obnoxious. I'd pick fights with people much bigger than me, but I'd still walk away from it. I didn't want to be here anymore, and I tried to commit suicide. After that, one of my family members found me in my flat when I stopped answering my phone, and they took me to hospital and everything like that, and the next day they booked me into rehab. Only after 2 weeks in rehab did I realize that alcohol might be a problem. It's legal. I was above the legal age at that point, so I didn't see what the problem was. It took me a long time to realize that alcohol was the root of all my problems.
Alcohol has casually become an everyday part of many South Africans' lives, and very often with disastrous outcomes. But how did Zoe's parents try and help her with her drinking problem?
My mom tried to get me into recreational activities, sports, that kind of thing. The other part of my family tried to understand. And then try to talk me into another direction, studies, school, that kind of thing. I wasn't very much into school. I didn't fit in at all, and the people I attracted to me were the people that drank. So it didn't really help. I didn't know how to live without nightclubs and bars. That's where I went every day after work. In treatment, when one of the counsellors said to me I can never go back to a nightclub, I burst out into tears and I cried for 2 days solid. Because what do you do on a Friday night? And they said, no, you do normal stuff without alcohol. And I didn't know what that was. So nightclubs were triggers for me, bars were triggers for me, pool tables were triggers for me.
How can parents and the community try and stop teenage alcoholism?
We need to educate our own children, and I think really it boils down to you and I taking care of our own households The minute I take care of my children in my own house and know where they are 24/7, what they are doing with whom, I will then be reducing that irrespective of what the advertisement has done. I shouldn't expect the schools to do that. I shouldn't expect the pastors to do it, or any other person, not even SABC members or any other law enforcement agency, but you and I should play a part, and that's how really we can resolve some of the issues.
The education, it starts with the parents. So I think if the parents can be educated and be aware of the dangers of them drinking at home, and so we would need to lead by example. That would be the best way, is to just lead by example, educate the parents. So that, because I can't tell my child don't drink if I do. So children learn what they see.
Joyce is the grandmother of a teenager whose life is becoming increasingly out of control. She disappears for weeks on end, leaving her family to look after her baby.
Pregnant. Anyway, pregnant thing ne le gore ke ngwana ntse a kena sekolo re go re ne re so bone problem ya hae ka nako eo hantle ntle o qadile di problem tse tsa hae ha qeta o kra ngwana a ba sa thoma le ano nyamalla re sa tsebe gore o ile kae.
We tried to help the family track down 17-year-old Zanele. We were led to a house in Soweto where we found her boyfriend who didn't know her whereabouts.
sahamba vele sayalanga se-police station asenaleli kunendawo laphana yoperate 24 hours le kona Friday lo baba walaphana uyangazi umtshelile vele ukuthi ngicela ungasaphinde uze nalo mntwana la ngoba ngibangibheka i-age yakhe umncane yabo ngamtshela ngithi mina ngazi ana 19
Should you see that as a member of the community, whether it is selling wine to an under 18 or a shebeen in the township, it doesn't matter. Just take a picture, forward it to us. When it comes to that, it's one of those zero tolerance matters. We shut them down with immediate effect until such time that, mitigating factors, of course, by the board would take place and so on.
So for how long, John?
I think in February.
This year? We realize what you mean. Una 17 when 33.
Mina 19.
We ask Erica Null, a social worker at Sanka, what can be done in cases like Zanele's.
Under the age of 18 still falls under the Child Care Act. Care and supervision of the child should still occur. In such a case, a child would very often or can be removed by a social worker and be placed in a place of safety. If it is found that the parents cannot control the child's behavior or that the child is a danger to herself. If we look at it from a substance abuse point of view, such a child would definitely be a candidate for inpatient treatment. One would want to have the family involved. It's usually a very complicated situation. Family relationships are complicated. Very often there's a poor role model at home that makes things even more difficult to deal with the situation effectively.
Several weeks later, we find Zanele at her home. She was hostile towards her family, who were scared of her. She reluctantly spoke to us on the condition that we keep her identity secret.
I have no one to talk to about my problems. I used to speak to my mother about my issues, but she has since died, so I don't have anyone to talk to. I always fight with my dad and my aunt, so I feel it is best for me to just leave and go and stay at my friend's house. I feel misunderstood by all of them. I really do feel alone. Sometimes I just want to go away and never come back. I hate being at home. Growing up, I always wished I could stay with my mother, but I couldn't because my grandmother raised me. I never had that mother-daughter relationship that I always wanted.
The impact of alcohol in society has devastating consequences. One victim is Nadia Stephanie Bond. Her life was cut short this year on the 18th of September when a drunk driver drove into her at a stop sign while she was crossing the street. A day later, Nadia succumbed to her injuries. She was only 8 years old.
For a strange reason, we allow people to start drinking alcohol at the age of 18. It's at the same time we allow them to have a driver's license. So you have this young person trying to explore his life, trying to mix with peers, and you have peer pressure with the drinking of alcohol. You mix alcohol and a driver's license together, and we have what we have in our society are massive amounts of road accidents. We should drop the level of alcohol in the blood from 0.05 to 0.02. We should increase the level of permission to drink from 18 to 21. So at least you've got 3 years of a young adult who's learned to drive a car, but who's not allowed to buy or imbibe alcohol.
We asked some young people for their views on raising the legal drinking age to 21.
Yeah. I can go in there and be like, I'm 30 years old, even though I'm 20 or 19. Yeah. Maybe be like, yeah, I do like buy the alcohol for you. So I don't think it will help increasing the tariffs or the drinking legal age or whatever. Money will still be there. Kids are growing nowadays, so I don't think it will help.
Noma bangayiraise bathi 30 bathi bani as long as sisinabantu lokushina bathengisela abantwana because angisho sinemizimba abanye banemizimba angathi ngathi una 21 but then mawufika lapha una 18 uyathenga uyaphuza so ayikho into abangayenza kujena yazi iyouth mayifuna ukuyenza into iyayenza noma ngathini government noba bangathini uyayenza
places where even the taverns they don't ask for IDs they don't because and also it's funny enough, even they see school, bapere uniform, they still don't, but they still sell to.
As long as
and they are still, even if bas of nama ID, if mina ngakwazi ukungena lapha, ngiyakwazi ucela friend yami.
Despite being surrounded by temptation, Kabelo Mboka is making a life for himself alcohol-free and has since gone back to school.
Yeah, like it's a little hectic, but
Zoe says she has a new lease on life now that her dark days of drinking are behind her.
Now that I'm sober, I feel great. Work's great. I'm doing very well in my career. I'm engaged. I didn't think that would ever happen. I have a great relationship with my family, which I never had before, particularly with my mother. I feel great. I'm able to hold a job. I'm able to pay my rent. I'm able to live like a normal human being. And I always thought I didn't want to be normal, but I'm very happy being normal, and it's very nice.
While Zoe and Kabelo are embracing recovery, Zanele's future looks uncertain.
I don't feel like I have a problem. I only drink on special occasions. I really don't have a problem at all.
Until she admits that she needs help, she's set to spiral into a life of alcoholism and other negative behaviors.